Probably like a quarter of the size to Bulla. We're pretty small. So to essentially walk around the entire village would take you 10 minutes max. So it is a very small village with basically one thoroughfare straight down the middle and a couple offshoots. But essentially, Currawong Road is the central road and that's about it. We don't really have different zones of the resort. Like if you're in one section and you call for help, we'd be there within 5 minutes. Something I did notice when I was talking to Ankit about getting these in place is I did notice that we didn't have something for the village itself.
Okay.
Experience, it was 2 winters ago, I had to call triplezero to get some assistance, and it was really hard to establish what do they know us as. Is it 32 Currawong Road, which is the main address point for the village? Is it Baw Baw Village? Is it Mt Baw Baw Alpine Resort? There's so many different names. Or is it the actual property name of the building I was in at that time? And so that's why we actually established another emergency marker, which was Baw 001, which is a reference point for the central car park for the village. So that is sort of what we've recommended to people. If you're in the village and you need to call triplezero, refer to this point and it will get them to the main village entryway, and then you can meet them there and direct them to wherever they need to go. So that was probably the one addition we made when we noticed that was lacking, is that central access point and that central location that just gets people into the village and answers those questions of, oh, well, what do I say when I call triplezero? You can just do Baw 001 and that gets them here, and then you can work from there. Because the response time for us, obviously unless you're coming from a helicopter, is about 1 hour and 40 minutes. You're saving time and you're still saving lives. You're still getting that location to them in one word rather than a 5-minute conversation about, all right, well, where are you? What's nearby? What's your nearest access road? Any of those things. It's trying to find a central point for the village that you can just reference that and deal with everything later, because there is that time and period that you do have, I guess, the ability to work out the details later, just get them on their way to the right location and then work from there. Yeah, so because our trails are heavily used by cross-country skiers, snowshoers and other users during the winter months, and then in the summer months it's bushwalkers, mountain bikers, people coming out and looking at all the wildflowers and everything in the area, and then connecting us to the Baw Baw National Park. There is a heavy use in both seasons. So all these signs were designed with about a bit under 1 metre worth of sign that's essentially blank at the bottom. And that allows for that snow coverage up to then the bottom. And then we've got a couple maps and then the emergency marker a bit closer to the top. So it's designed in a way that it will always be readable. Like the most important information about directions of trails, the maps for directing yourself back to the village, and the emergency markers, yeah, they're all in that top section just to make sure that it is always accessible when we've potentially got 1 metre, 1.5 metres worth of snow. Our signs are designed on a piece of steel that's essentially like a U-block like that. And so that's a full straight platform, and that's attached to 2 timber posts that are then concreted in the ground. So it's essentially about 300 mil wide, and it's got enough room for a whole map to be on it. So they're quite large signs. There's just little tiny markers on like the edge of the sign or just on a post. It's incorporated into the whole sign itself. It's just incorporated into our directional signage rather than being an ESTA marker sign in itself with direction. So it was just sort of like, I guess, an add-in to our existing signage upgrades. Getting something up on the website as well, just to sort of educate people around what they are. Keep an eye out. Always remember the last one you saw. Know where you're planning on going and where you're likely to see them as well. So there are 2 major map boards that you sort of pass as you walk into the village. And they do have the ability to then put some more information in there. And that first map board is actually the one where that central village locator will actually be on there. So that's, you arrive in the car park and that's the first thing you see when you walk into the village area through the big rock walls that we've got at the entry. Definitely So during the summer months, we do a lot of trail maintenance, while we can obviously access all the trails as vehicles and any machinery that we might need. So they are checked, or there'd be people walking around those trails very often. And we do have a pretty good customer base as well, that whenever people do notice anything, they just drop into guest services and let us know. So if there's, I guess, any serious issues that we may not have noticed or may not have picked up on, they're always there to let us know. Hence that all of our markers are established with the trail sign number. So that's sort of already tied in there, that you know that I'm at junction 6, or junction of this trail and that trail. It's just like junction 6 and that's where we are. And they're all mapped out on our summer and winter maps as well. Well, I think you first have to consider your customer base. So what is your customer base and what is their background? Because a lot of our customers come out here and go for a walk up to the summit, let's say, but they've never gone on a bushwalk before. So think about, what are they going to be looking for? How often might they need to see these markers? Is it every 200-300 meters, or is it every 2 kilometers? Like, you sort of have to think about the practicality of them seeing these markers and potentially high risk areas, whether there's a large staircase area in your sort of area. That'd be, I guess, where you make sure there is one, because you've got people out there that may underestimate their ability, and then they're going out on these trails and maybe overexerting themselves. Whereas in a lot of the areas that we've got them just on the trail junctions because that's where it was convenient for us. But already I'm noticing a lot of areas where there haven't been any markers, that I'm like, oh, well, we've got mountain bikers flying down this area of trail that really should have a marker at the bottom just in case. And they're one of our like key areas or key trails that have a high usage during the weekends when there's a limited staffing base on site as well. So think about the usage of your trails and your customers, and how many customers you're likely to see in those areas. And I guess that would sort of indicate how many you're likely to need or where to put them as well. And in my experience, it's actually really handy having them with a map as well, because then you can sort of understand where you are. And it's more of a draw point in that sense, that you're coming and you're looking at a sign and a map and some directions. Oh, and there's an emergency marker there as well. It's not just looking at the emergency marker, because a lot of people will walk past it and think, oh, it's just a management thing. Like, they don't understand what it is, and not really take note of that number. And that's sort of something you want every time they walk past. You want them to be like, oh, okay, I need to remember this number just in case. And just sort of have it in the back of your mind, just constantly ticking over. And like even for us, we've got, all the mountain biking trails, which don't have any on it, which in my mind, I'd be putting them on first. And for us as well, being an Alpine resort, you've got year-round use. So is it something that's going to work in both seasons, especially in winter when access is a bit more restricted? That's something I've noticed is definitely worth being aware of. Where like in summer, it could take us 5 minutes to get out somewhere, but in winter we might have a lot more difficulty with snowfall and everything. Like I grew up in the city. Like I always remember seeing them at St Kilda Beach and at the local park, and honestly never took any notice of them. Like, I always kind of knew what they were, but really never really took note and remembered them. And then now being, I guess, such an avid hiker and advocate for the outdoors, like I see the need for it, and I want more people to go outside and be comfortable. And that's exactly what they do. They keep people comfortable and know that, look, if I become in a bit of strife and I need some help, this is how I'm going to identify where I am. Because the amount of people that don't know how to use a map, compass, maybe you're out of phone reception, they're going to be able to access these things. And I don't know, it gives a bit more confidence to both the land manager and the land user to just be comfortable in the outdoors and enjoy themselves and experience everything that some people are lacking just without the confidence to get out there. Anytime, like, I would always be saying more than less. Like, if you're thinking about your emergency markers, why not do 20 instead of 15? Just do those extra 5, because those extra 5 can, who knows, save a life, honestly. An extra 5 markers can just keep more people aware. And that's the biggest thing. It's making sure people are aware of these markers and just take note and just keep them in the back of the mind, because honestly, you never know when you're going to need it.